materials are just mostly vine charcoal, a little bit of compressed charcoal, graphite pencil. You'd be using a mechanical pencil, and Sumi ink. I fell in love with Sumi ink, I think, during a few years back, and Sumi ink is probably my favorite medium to work with. But it's usually only found in the Professor, in the silhouetted guy. And I do some Xerox transfers sometimes, just using Xerox and a blender marker. I am not from Philadelphia. I'm from Brazil originally. We moved to America in 1989. I moved at I think a crucial time, because I moved around when I was 14. So yeah, I already kind of sucked into the culture of South America, and then I had to completely assimilate into this other culture. That definitely has a lot to do with how I make work, the things that are important to me in terms of symbols and folklore. Being from Brazil and being an immigrant definitely has a lot to do with what I do. I'm extracting symbols from Brazil, from America, from this sort of mashing of these two cultures. So I end up inventing a lot of my symbols, and they end up being sort of a combination of America, or South America, and North America, Brazil and United States. I ended up creating 3 different characters. One is a monk, one is a professor, and one is called the Dream. The characters are very biographical. Some of them are, it's really my story, and therefore I feel that I can talk about just anything, even if it's not myself. I can talk about through the characters. So it's not, the characters aren't always necessarily me, but they are the way I see things, the way people see things, and the way that I see people seeing things. This is one of the first drawings that I ended up using the monk. The monk began to be this shrouded character, always wearing like some sort of robe, inspired by ukiyo-e, Japanese prints, Chinese emperors, Persian paintings. Sometimes he's playing guitar. I'm working on a drawing where he's baptizing the professor into a bunch of old jazz drummers, or Max Roach, Elvin Jones. And so the monk is about to sort of connect with the professor, and they're going to become sort of another character. The professor is always in a silhouette in black, and he's usually connected with a drum kit. He was sleeping in a desert sort of landscape inside of the dream, and the dream is usually the character that's in charcoal, sort of like an ethereal, smoky character. Sometimes it's the landscape. Every story always deals with my spirituality. It always deals with this connection between the human and divine. It's somehow of a way for me to get to talk about Christ in a completely different way, to get to talk about the world, to get to talk about worship, to get to talk about these things that are important to me. This one here is my dad up top, and my dad passed away in 2003, and all of a sudden my dad showed up in all of the stuff that I was doing prior to this stuff, and so he still comes up a lot. So a lot of them are people that have either passed from family members, or people that I have connected myself to for different reasons. I had this series called The 3 MCs, and the 3 MCs were John Coltrane, Dostoevsky, and my dad. The drawings that I'm doing now with the characters really have helped me to sort of enter into the subject matter and really just sort of attack anything that kind of comes my way. While I'm making my folkloric things, I am creating my narrative. And while I'm creating my narrative, then I'm writing stories. And as I'm writing stories, I'm, grabbing at poetic notions from the outside and bringing them in. So I finally feel that in my work I can have this freedom where I could just go anywhere with it. Where we are, the studios up here, which house I think about 10 artists, is in the upstairs of a church called Olivet Covenant Presbyterian Church on 22nd on the Fairmount area of Philly. We had a group of artists that were together and we had a couple of shows together. One of the artists ended up working here, and he had seen these spaces up there. He inquired about them and figured out that they weren't being used by anybody or for anything. The church talked it over, and I think within a month they had given us the space. For the most part, it has been like a core group of people that have been here from the very get-go. You know, I think ever since 2005 that we've been here. Being an artist in Philadelphia is probably one of the most interesting spots to be in this juncture, because Philly just seems to be very moldable and very all over the place. It's probably one of the weirdest cities that I've ever been to. It's so small. It has this like massive big heart that it doesn't know really necessarily what to do with. People just feel free to just kind of go in and do whatever they want to do, you know what I mean? Sort of have a place to do that stuff. So we'll see what Philly becomes, but hopefully it'll still stay in this sort of mindset, you know. I think about 3 drawings. We'll be at a show here in the city at Jenny Jeske Gallery in I think starting May 8th. The show is called The Drawing Narrative, and it's works from people who deal with narrative in their work, and it's a complete drawing show. I think it's a mostly black and white show. With Robin O'Neill, Matt Fisher, Rob Matthews, and a bunch of other folk. So it should be a pretty dope show.